Hi, it's Terrence from the Albany Tech Coaches here to give you an introduction to Chromebooks. Hopefully you have a Chromebook that you're watching this on right now or it's next to you, and you'll be able to follow along with some of this and play along at home while you watch to practice some of these things as we go over them. Today, we have a number of session objectives here. I'd like you to understand why Chromebooks are popular for schools. I'd like you to become familiar with the Chromebook hardware. So what's different about the keyboard, what's different about the touchpad, some of the specific things that we can do on these that we might not be able to do on other computers. Become familiar with the ChromeOS user interface. So the Chrome operating system, how you can do the basic things that you want to do, how you can navigate around, launch apps, and maybe find the stuff that you're looking for that's in a little bit of a different spot than it might be on that Windows PC or Mac computer that you're used to. Learn how to use the best new features in the recent update, that version 89 update, which just came out recently as of the time I'm recording this in April 2021. There's a number of new features that are pretty cool that you should see. And I'd like you to understand some of the main accessibility features that might come in very handy for you and your students. Now we have a basic flow here that we'll go through, including that starting what is the Chromebook, cover the keyboard shortcuts that are popular and still work on the Chromebook. Any of those keyboard shortcuts that you remember from the other computers you use are going to work here. The touchpad and some of the fancy tips on using the touchpad with gesture control. Launching apps, those new features, and the accessibility features I'd like you to know. So to start off, what is a Chromebook? Basically, a Chromebook is a computer that's been built to Google specifications that's running their Chrome OS operating system. You're probably familiar with Windows PCs that run Microsoft Windows, right? There are any number of computers made by different companies that all run Windows. There's the Apple computers, and they're going to run their Mac operating system. They don't have the bunch of companies making them. They've got their own game going on, right? Where Apple makes those and they all run the same operating system. But similar to how Microsoft Windows is an operating system that runs on computers that can be made by a number of different companies and they're all Windows PCs, Chromebooks are similar, right? There's going to be sort of certain specifications put out, and different computer manufacturers can make these computers, and they run Chrome operating system put out by Google. And that's what makes this a Chromebook. These computers are designed primarily for web-based applications. They can install apps. You can download and install software from the Play Store on these, but on district devices, that bit's turned off. So if you've got a personal Chromebook, then you can go through and search apps and stuff, but that might not be available to you on the district devices. You can connect to your Google Drive. So in fact, by signing into a Chromebook, in order to sign in, you sign in with your Google account. So if you're signing in with your district Google account on a Chromebook, you're going to automatically be connected to your Google Drive. You're going to be automatically signed in to the Chrome browser so that your history can sync and your bookmarks can sync and all your passwords can be stored, and whatever you have turned on for that syncing and remembering is all there automatically just by signing in with your Google account to the Chromebook. These can be used offline. There's a bit of a myth, right, that's been around for a while that Chromebooks have to be connected to the internet, otherwise you can't do anything on them. And that's not accurate. Sure, if you're not on the internet, you're not going to be able to get to those internet websites, or you might not be able to use some of those apps, but there still are things that you can do on a Chromebook, even if you're not on Wi-Fi. Now, a couple things they can't do natively, they can't just do sort of built-in on their own, is they're not going to connect to our shared drives in the district. If you have shared folders and things that you get to, you can't get to it right within the Chromebook stuff. You'd have to go on the website and do like the virtual login to get to your files and folders from home. You can do that on a Chromebook and still get to your shared folders that way. Also, it can't print directly to a district printer. So you'd have to be on one of the district PCs, right? Not the Chromebooks, but maybe the Windows PC in order to print. If you're doing your document creation on a Chromebook in Docs or something and it's in your drive, then you can easily just open that document up from your drive on a different computer to print it out if you need to. Now, that's what a Chromebook is, but why use a Chromebook? There's a few main selling points on the Chromebooks. They're easy to use, which even if, even if you're new to them and maybe they might be a bit unfamiliar at first, once you learn maybe at least a couple of basic tricks, they'll probably become much easier to use, much more comfortable to work with pretty soon. And that was my experience too. I found it a bit frustrating at the beginning because of some things that were new to me and that I didn't quite understand. But once I figured out a few tricks, it made the whole thing much more enjoyable. So I'm hoping that that'll be the case for you as well. If you're frustrated now with trying to play around with the Chromebooks and feeling like you don't know what you're doing, it'll probably get better pretty quickly. And hopefully this little session will help. They're cost efficient. Usually they're low cost. Part of that is because, right, they're designed for this sort of thing. They keep the costs low so that, organizations, schools, and things can buy a bunch of them and be able to, afford doing one-to-one. With this, there's some pros and cons, right? The cost-efficient piece is a definite pro. Inexpensive computers, that's a pro. Long battery life. Usually the batteries on the Chromebooks are going to last a long time. Definite pro, especially if you're going to try to have students using them throughout a school day. With who knows how many chances to really charge it up during the day. You want that battery to last. They do this by keeping the power low on the devices. So these aren't going to be powerhouse machines, at least not the ones that we're getting by the thousands and handing out to one-to-one for students. They're not going to be powerful. They're new, right? But they're efficient. They're lower power. They're going to have that nice long battery. They're going to be inexpensive to purchase and replace. They should be durable and reliable, but right, they're not going to be the most powerful. So there is some trade-off there, and that might be a factor that you don't want to have a whole bunch of tabs and trying to really load this up with different processes, different things that you're doing at the same time, because you're going to see the stress on the system and it might start slowing down. So you want to keep it pretty focused. Try to keep the number of tabs down. That's going to be a tip for students. If they complain that it's going slowly, if they complain that things are lagging, it might be because they've got way too much stuff going on, and they might have to trim that down. Keep it to a couple of tabs and a meet, and they should be just fine. Now, ChromeOS is a fast, lightweight operating system. The operating system integrates seamlessly with the Google suite of stuff. Now they call it Google Workspace for Education. It's a pretty new name, but it's the same stuff that we've been talking about for a while, right? That's the docs, the slides, the classroom stuff. All those things integrate very well into the operating system, right? They're literally made for each other by Google. And overall, it's a really great system for those web-based applications. Okay, let's start moving into the hardware. I'm going to talk about the keyboard. On the keyboard of your Chromebook, you're going to see a few key differences as compared to the keyboard that you're probably used to. So first, if you're a Windows PC user, and certainly, in the district, most of us are pretty familiar with the Windows PC and the Windows keyboard. We're used to seeing that Windows button down at the bottom left. Now in the Chromebook, there's no Windows key. This is not a Windows machine. It's not it's a Chrome book, right? ChromeOS. So here they have their own kind of Windows key, and that is going to be the search key. It could also be called the launcher key. This is something that's evolving, right? I've even seen it referred to as the everything button. So over here on the left, where caps lock used to be, is either a magnifying glass button, or perhaps for you, this launcher key that has the circle within the circle. You can see that as well. So you'll hear that as the search key, the launcher key, or maybe even the everything button. If you hit that, and I'll do that here, you'll see that that brings up the Chrome equivalent of the start menu, right? You've got your recent apps down here. You've got a search box that you can search for things on the Chromebook. And if you hit this up arrow, you'll see your list of apps. So right there, that's going to be the Chrome OS equivalent of the Windows key. Now, I just mentioned where the caps lock used to be, right? There's no caps lock here. And that might seem like a big deal, right? Every computer I've used in the last 20 years or whatever, there's always had a caps lock key. What are they doing? Well, You still have a caps lock functionality. You can still do caps lock. The only difference is now you have to hold down Alt and then press that search key or launcher key, right? Hold down Alt, press that launcher key, and that will turn on caps lock. If you press that again, hold down Alt and search key or launcher key there, that will turn off caps lock. So the functionality is still there. It just requires a little keyboard shortcut instead of having a dedicated button. Similarly, you'll see there's no delete key. The delete key is gone, and instead you have a key combination. You have a little keyboard shortcut. You can hold down Alt, press backspace, and that will do your deleting. So backspace is there for deleting on the left side, right, for backspacing along. Hit Alt in that, you'll be able to hit that sort of delete to the right, that delete key. Now the top row buttons. I think some of these buttons, there's a couple of them that I really like, right? Some of these you might be familiar with, you might have seen these before, but I think a couple might be kind of new here. So on the left, you'll probably see some web navigation keys. You might use these, not sure, but you should know they're there, right? There's a back button and a forward button. So if you're navigating on the web browser and you want to go back a web page, you could hit one of those keys up there and go back or forward a page. There's also the refresh key. So that might be helpful to you. You should know that they're there. These two in the middle, I think these are pretty handy. And these might be the most different from the ones you'd see on the Windows PCs you're used to. We have on the left side there in the highlight, immersive mode. So this is going to be basically your full screen mode. It's going to hide any of the like bars at the top or any menus and things. It's going to make whatever window you're in, it's going to turn that full screen. And just by that one button press, whatever you're in goes full screen. So they call that immersive mode. You might even see this with a question from a student on the troubleshooting side. All my menus are gone. I don't know how to get out of this. I can't go to the thing, right? If the menus are all gone, maybe that student pressed that button in the top row, the immersive mode, and then all those disappeared. So just hit that again, and then all of your menus should come back. So try that out. That's a neat feature, and you might use that, right, if you just want to focus on what's the screen, or if you're presenting something, recording a video. There could be a number of reasons that you might want to go full screen. The next button, Overview, is super cool. If you go to that Overview button, press it once, you're going to see that actually all of the windows that you have opened up, and right now, I should get you a little bit of a different example here. So let's say I have a window here and a window there. If I go into Overview mode by hitting that button, it's the rectangle with a couple of vertical lines next to it, I'm going to see any open windows that I have. So actually, let's make this a third, right? So now I've got 3 open windows. I hit Overview, and you can see them all right here. You can actually see even multiple workspaces, which we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But that is a definite neat feature to be able to see all open windows and quickly be able to jump between what you have open, right? If you're looking for a certain thing, hit Overview, and then you can quickly get to that other window. Your screen brightness keys, real handy just to know that they're there. Quick adjustments, brighten up the screen, darken the screen. And also your volume keys, right? Muting, volume down, volume up. You don't have to go on the screen with the touchpad and go to the little system menu and find the volume slider. Just hit those buttons, and that's a very handy way to adjust those settings very quickly. Now up at the top right, depending on the Chromebook you have, you might have a lock, like here, you might have one that looks like a power symbol. As I said, these are evolving, and just like the magnifying glass on some now, you're going to see that little circle for the launcher. Here, it used to be a power button, and now it looks like a lock. Basically, this one, if you hold that lock button down for a couple of seconds, it's going to lock the computer. So it's going to require somebody to put in the password again, right? It'll lock it down, and then you would have to enter your password to reopen it to use it. Especially helpful if you have to, stand up, walk away. You don't want anyone messing with the stuff. Lock the computer before you walk away. Very quick to do. Now, all of your common shortcuts, your keyboard shortcuts, should still work on a Chromebook. All the main ones we probably use on a day-to-day basis, they're going to be consistent throughout all sorts of different applications, all different softwares. Those all are going to work on Chromebooks just like they do on Windows PCs and just like they do on Macs. So we highlighted some common ones just as refreshers. You probably know some of these. You might not know all of them. So in case it's helpful, let's review a few. If you want to cut, copy, and paste, that's going to be your Control X for a cut, Control C for a copy, and Control V for a paste. If you want to try this out, if this is new to you, it might be world changing, right? Some of these keyboard shortcuts where you can very quickly Control C to copy and Control V to paste, it can make things much easier. Down at the bottom, you see with the little sparkly stars here, I'm indicating with those some new feature to highlight for you. And this multi-paste, they're calling it, is a very cool feature. This is brand new. It's one of the ones from the update. Here you can see a little animation of what it looks like. But basically, we're used to copying and pasting, being able to copy one thing, and then we have to paste that one thing. We can only copy one thing and remember one thing at a time. But with this more recent update in Chrome, you can actually copy up to 5 things and then paste whichever one you want. So let's take a second here. I want to demonstrate this for you, and I'd like you to play with this. So here I've got a web page open, the What's New with Chromebook. I want to demonstrate by, let's highlight this headline, and you'll see I'm going to copy that now. So we know that What's New with Chromebook is copied. I also think that this picture is pretty cool, so I'm going to copy the picture. I'm going to copy this paragraph. And I'm going to copy this little sort of headline thing here. So now with how we're normally used to copying, what the heck, let's copy another picture. Why not? With how we're normally used to copying, we know that only the most recent thing is going to be able to be pasted, right? So it would be this picture with the phone on it and stuff. Let's go over to this Word document, this Google Doc. And if I just went for a normal paste, that's true. All I see is that picture. But if I hold down that search key or launcher key and press V, so it's a launcher key V for paste, notice now I have this window that pops up and I have options, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things that I copied on that page that I can now choose which of these I want to paste. So I could actually do that first thing. Number 1, What's New with Chromebook? And I'll do a launcher key V again. And now I'll maybe paste this more recent picture. And I can do a launcher key V a third time and grab that headline. So in whatever order I choose, I can paste those 5 most recent things now. So cool update for multi-paste there that I think you might like. Take a second, try that out, right? Give that a shot, pause this if you need to. And then when you're ready, we'll keep going. A few more common shortcuts. We've got Control Z is undo and Control Y is redo. So again, very common. So if ever you're stuck, you mess something up on your Google slide, oops, I just deleted that thing, or I moved it and it's not centered anymore. And instead of trying to like work hard to get it back, or even instead of going into the menu to find edit undo, you can very quickly Control Z and undo, or Control Y and redo. Zooming on a screen, if you're on a web page and you want to zoom into something, see something a little better, if a student's struggling to see something, the text is a little small, you want to make that a bit bigger, Control plus works to zoom in what's on the screen there. So in the web browser, Control plus will keep zooming in, Control minus will zoom out. If you want to go back to 100%, right, like it's super zoomed in or it's way too tiny because you zoomed out so far, Control and 0 will zoom it back to the 100%. If you're in a web page and you're looking for something specific, you want to find that specific word, for example, it brought you to a big long web page and you're looking for something specific, Control F will bring up a little search box and you can search within that page. It's a great way to help you find stuff navigate through web pages. If you haven't used it, Alt and Tab is going to let you change between open programs, much like that overview lets you do. Okay, but this, it's just going to cycle through them. So that could be a handy one. In that web browser again, if you want to open a new tab quickly, Control-T will do that. So a Control-T is going to open a tab. And if you close a tab, like I'm going to close this Google Doc here. Whoops, I accidentally closed that Google Doc, but I wanted it back. I can Control-Shift and T, right? Control-Shift and T, and that's going to open up the most recently closed tab. So right there, I don't have to go back to my drive and find it or go to my history and dig it out. Control-Shift-T, and I'm back in business. Okay. Now, built right into the Chrome operating system, we have a screen capture tool. And in fact, it's got those, you see those glittery stars. So they just improved this with the new update. They made it so much better. So there's a couple ways to get there. First is with keyboard shortcuts. And that's why I'm talking about it right now with all the other keyboard shortcuts. You can capture an image of the entire screen with a Control and Overview button, which, remember, is that button up at the top, the rectangle with the two vertical lines. Now, I just did that, and you can't really tell until I get out of present mode because it was hiding this capture notification. But as soon as I did that, Control and the Overview button, notice that I have a notification popped up, screenshot taken, show in folder. This is already saved, and it's already been copied to the clipboard. So now I could go into that Google Doc, actually, and I could paste, and there's that screen capture that I just took with that quick keyboard shortcut, Control and the Overview button. Now with that, if I come back to my notification, I can click on that and actually see it in the folder. It's right there. So I can see that it's saved as well. That's a really handy tool. So that is going to take a capture, right, a picture of the entire screen, Control and Overview button. Now, if you go to the Control and Shift and Overview button, okay, Control Shift Overview button, this is brand new. Now we have a more powerful screen capture tool that shows up, and you've got some options. Control Shift Overview is one way to get it. That might be the hard way to get it. So let's also go over the easy way. The easy way to get this is down at the system menu, down at the bottom right. You should have a screen capture tool button here now. You can see it right there, screen capture. Click that, and it gets you to the same tool. So this brand new screen capture tool is much improved over the previous. First, it can still do your still picture. So notice here we've got a camera icon. That is our basic screenshot. Now over here we have some options. I could take a full screen screenshot. So this is going to be what I just did. Take a picture of the entire screen. You can take a partial screenshot. So this is going to be a specific area. So if I only wanted to get this middle bit, I could click and drag a box, and it's only going to capture what's inside that box. Or I could even choose to capture just a window. So if I click that, then I'd have to choose which window, and you can see right there, it actually took it. I said, take a capture of that window, and then it already did it. It's saved, and it's copied to the clipboard so I could paste it. Now that's the screenshot side. We also have in this tool, video. So see over here, we've got the little video camera icon. We've got the same options. I could record a video of the full screen. I could record a video of the partial screen. And I could record a video of the window. So let's set that up for full screen right now. And here in the settings, I have an option for record microphone. So I can click this on. And that would allow me to record my voice as I record the video of the screen. And this might be very, very handy for you to be able to record videos for your students, or even maybe for students to record something that they're doing, to be able to turn that in to show their work or to create a presentation, something like that. This is built right into the Chrome operating system. So it's not a website they have to go to. It's not an extension they have to download. And it's not limited like some of these free websites or free extensions where you get 5 minutes of recording time or maybe 10 minutes of recording time, and that's it for the free version. I did a little test here a couple weeks ago. I had this recording video of full screen and audio from the mic for an hour and 45 minutes. And there were no warnings, no, your time is almost running out, nothing. I stopped it after an hour and 45 minutes because it's pretty clear, right? We can record about as much as we want on this, and it's going to go great. Now, this is not going to record system audio. So if you play a video on the screen here, it's not going to record the audio into the video file unless your mic can hear it from the speakers. So if you have the speakers up and it's recording that way, you can still probably show a video and be able to hear it, but it's not going to like get the audio out of the video file. It's got to hear it over the speakers. Okay. So that might be the only limitation there, just to keep in mind that if you want to create a video, including some audio that's going on the screen, you want to have the speakers up and you want to make sure that that microphone is on. So a quick test here. I think you should take a minute and play around with this tool if you haven't already. Take a couple of screenshots. Try a full screen screenshot. Take a look at that notification. Try a partial screen screenshot. Maybe even play around with moving this, getting it to exactly how you might want it to show, to grab a picture for your students to show them how to do something, right? You can play with that. And you'll notice if you get it exactly right, let's try to get this right sized here. I can click this capture button in the middle. It's going to capture that. And again, it's saved, it's copied. And right here, even if I don't like it, I could just delete it, or I could go and I could choose to play with it. So play with those tools. And also don't forget that video piece. Try to take a test video and record your voice quick, right? Make sure that you switch it over to video mode. Figure out how much of the screen you want to record. I'm going to put full screen here. Make sure that that microphone gets set to on. And do a test record of a video here. Click anywhere to record full screen. So we can record there. See, you got a countdown, 3, 2, 1. And now we're recording, and we have a little stop button that is shown up down at the bottom corner here, stop screen recording. So right now it's recording my voice as I'm speaking here. Right now it's recording my mouse movements, and I can open up a new tab, and I can go to a website. And when I'm done, all I have to do is come down to this stop button, hit stop, and here's my notification, right? Screen recording has been taken, show in folder. I can click into this right now. And I can open up that video. And this is how easy it is to take a screen recorded video with the screen capture tool on the new ChromeOS update, okay? So let's continue. Okay, if you want more keyboard shortcuts, right? This hasn't been enough. You want to see all of the shortcuts. Well, in order to do that, you can hold on Control-Alt and question mark. If you do that, this window is going to pop up, and you'll be able to see all of the shortcuts that are available. You can see that they're divided out into sort of categories, and you can check this out if you like. I think this is kind of like, reading the phone book, although that's a dated reference. This isn't something that you're going to want to study and memorize or anything like that. You might want to check it out, and maybe there's going to be a cool one that you didn't know you could have a shortcut for. But really, this will probably be occasionally, if you want to search for something specific, or if you know that there's a shortcut on the computer that you're used to, and maybe you want to see how it's a little different on this one. If it is different, then maybe that's going to be a cool tool to help you out there. Now let's talk about the touchpad, because there's a lot of cool stuff going on with the touchpad. On the Chromebook touchpad, there are no buttons, or at least there's not like a left click and right click button down at the bottom like you're used to seeing. The whole thing is kind of a button on its own, and you should be able to press down on the whole thing to click, but you don't have a separate left and right click like we're normally used to. So a lot of what you do on the touchpad isn't really going to be clicks so much, but it's going to be touches. And depending on how you touch it, how many fingers you use, if you just do a quick tap or if you do a slide in some direction, those are all gestures that control it in different ways. And this was the most frustrating thing for me when I first started on this, because I was doing some of these gesture controls without realizing it, and the computer was doing things that I didn't expect, and I didn't understand why it was doing them. So learning these helped me out quite a lot. First, you're probably familiar with, if you want to just do a regular click, regular left click, you just tap on the touchpad and get the left click. But a lot of people new to Chromebooks don't realize that a 2-finger tap on the touchpad is going to give you a right click. So here, if you just take your 2 fingers and tap, that's going to be a right click on your mouse. Okay, so right there, that's going to help hopefully a lot of us. I had a student literally this week that was looking for a USB mouse to connect to their Chromebook in order to access the right-click menu, because they know how to copy and paste for the translation. It's an ELL student. They know how to copy and paste for the translation with the right-click on the mouse, but they weren't aware that with a 2-finger touch on the touchpad, they still have right-click right on the Chromebook. So some of these things are going to be major helps, right, for students and staff to realize, hey, I can get to a right-click menu just from a 2-finger touch. It's right there. Now I can also use those same 2 fingers and slide up or slide down to scroll on a web page. So, for example, on this page here, I can take the 2 fingers and slide them up on the touchpad, and I'll scroll up the page, or I can slide them down and scroll down the page, right? So again, handy, easy little gesture on the touchpad. You can use those same 2 fingers and slide to the right and to the left. And that's going to be your forward and back buttons in a web page, in a web browser. So here, I could slide. I'll show you this. I could take those 2 fingers, slide to the left. You'll see a little blue back arrow showed up there. And if I slide it to the right, see a little blue forward arrow shows. So that's back and forward, right? Very easy to navigate websites with that little trick. We bring it to 3 fingers, we can get to that overview that we mentioned on the keyboard button there, that button that lets you show all the open windows. We can slide that up and get to overview with the 3-finger sliding up. So you can try that out. Bring that back down. 3 fingers slide up. We'll open up overview. 3 fingers pulling back down. We'll close it. Now, 3 fingers slide left or right to switch tabs. This one might be useful for you. It's like a maybe, maybe not, if you like it or not. But let me get some tabs together. Okay. So we have 4 tabs. I can take my 3 fingers and slide them slowly to the left. Notice I got to my dock. I'll slide it a little to the right, get to the 2nd tab, slide to the right, get to the 3rd tab, slide to the right again, get to the 4th. So just by sliding those 3 fingers around, and you might be able to see that I've got those tabs highlight as I slide over them, so I can tell sort of where I'm going. All right, so right there, 3-finger slide left and right gets you to going through your tabs in your web browser. Now we'll stick with the 3 fingers. Let's get to our Albany City Schools page here. And let's say we want to open up a link in a new tab, which I do all the time, right? I'm tabs like crazy. I open up new tabs all the time. So let's say I want to open up this registration page in a new tab. I could right-click that and say open link in new tab. That's fine. I can do that. Or I can take the 3 fingers and do a 3-finger tap. And notice that just opened up that page right here for the enroll in, right? Similarly, I could 3-finger touch on that, 3-finger touch on that tab and close it down. So I'll reopen it here. I get 3-finger touch on that tab. And close it down. Boy, it wants me to do the 2-finger. We see that? It wants me to do the right click menu. I think it's because I'm holding it that awkward way. The 3-finger touch, maybe it's not meant to be held up and reversed, but right, we see how it works. All right. Apps on a Chromebook. If we want to access our apps, basically we have something very much like the Windows Start menu in this launch menu here, right? The launcher. So if we break out of this and back to a more regular screen here, let's make it look like this. We've got our Chromebook desktop. Down at the bottom left, just like the Start button on a Windows PC, we've got the launcher. You can click on the launcher. We'll see any recently used apps should be listed down here. We have a search bar, which can be very helpful, and that's going to come into play in just a bit. You also have this up arrow. So to get to all your apps, we're going to click on the up arrow, and here you're going to see the full list of apps on your device. So for example, if we wanted to open up the camera, then we would go to the launcher. We'd hit the up arrow to get the full apps list. And then we'll find the camera app here. Okay, we can just click it right there. That'll open up the camera. So hello, here we are, right? We have the video option here. We've got the photo option here. You can play around with some of this stuff, but that's our camera app. And when you're set, right, you could either take that picture, whatever you're going to do, we can close it down. Now, something else that we probably would use at some point is our File Explorer, right? To find all the different files that are on the Chromebook that we've got to work with. Like the whole thing about the computers, a lot of stuff's going to be in your drive, but sometimes you might have to, right, find the files on your computer. In order to do that, we're going to the Files Explorer here, like the blue folder. I'm going to click this open here. And notice by default on this device, this is a personal device, and it's going to my files. I've got downloads and things here. Some of this might be on the device that you're on. Some of it might not be. But the main thing here, especially for our district devices, by default now, our Chromebooks, all the files that we're downloading and saving on our district devices are being saved to your Google Drive. So you can see that's listed here in your File Explorer. So this is your Google Drive, whatever you're signed into, right? Whatever account that you're signed in on the Chromebook, this is that Google Drive. So if it's your district account, right, then you should see all of your district account files right here. And you can have access to your My Drive, any shared drives, any of the folders and Google Docs and everything that you have in your drive. These are the same things. It's just showing your drive stuff there. You can save to your drive right from here, and you can open things from your drive right from here. Okay, so we talked camera, we talked about files. I also like to show you split screen view. This should be super helpful. I know that this is a big request with the Chromebooks and especially with the virtual teaching. So let's say we have a couple of windows, right? We have these two internet windows, one with the Albany City Schools page and one with the What's New with Chromebooks page. And let's say I'd like to be able to see those both at the same time. If you find the Restore button at the top right corner, you're going to click that and hold it down. And you'll notice now, instead of the X in the corner to close this whole window, I've got a right arrow. If I hover over that, I've got this little ghost rectangle that's going to show me that I can move this web browser window. I could sort of shrink it down and slide it to the right, and I'll let it go. And that whole window just shrunk, and now it's docked over on the right side of the screen. Now I'll do the same with this window here. I'm going to go to the restore button, click and hold it down, bring over to the left arrow and let that go. And now you can see I've got one window open on the right side of the screen, the other window open on the left side of the screen. There's also this dividing line in the middle that if I hover over it for a second, I get this handle with the left and right arrows. I can click and drag this handle to actually change how much of each of those windows I'm seeing, how much of the screen they're taking up. So this could be a really handy tool for you on the split screen. Now, at any time when I want to get out of it, I can just click back to maximize here up at the top right, maximize. And that gets it back to a more normal view. I could do the same thing to my other window, get it to maximize, right? And then I'm out of my split screen. So try that out. Really cool feature from one of the recent updates. Now, we mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, we went to the launcher. We've got this search box here. And this can be pretty handy when you're looking for something. And this isn't just like search the web or something. This is search your files. This is search your apps. This is search all sorts of things. So if you type in Explore here and search that, you'll get to this new sort of little mini Explore app, which includes some welcome information, some getting started with Chromebooks information, and even some help. So if you're looking for some of the official Google help on the Chromebook stuff, which is actually usually pretty good, the Google help stuff is usually pretty well written, pretty clear, and I've definitely found a lot of good information just from Google help. Like normally that's not the case. Normally you're looking for forum posts and these sorts of things, but I found a lot of really helpful information right from their documentation. So a lot of this is here. You can check it out. There's major categories, types of help, right? And if you've got a question, this could be one way that you might be able to answer it. So what's new? Well, in Chromebooks just recently, within the last few weeks, Chromebooks turned 10 years old. And with that came a major update. That was the version 89 update. And in that update came a number of features, including that screen capture tool that I mentioned, including multi-paste, which I showed you, and a couple other things. And some of these are kind of small quality of life things, but you might find them helpful. So Tote is this little spot down here at the lower right that's going to hold your recent files, recent downloads, recent like screen captures and things, stuff that you've just recently been working with. You should be able to get back to them very easily right down here. You can also pin files here. So it's possible that you can go into your files, and then you just right click and sort of pin it to the Tote. And those most used files that you want to stay there, right, they'll just hang out there. And anytime you want to get to them, you can click down into Tote and they'll be there waiting for you. So that's maybe a cool little feature for you that you can play with. If that sounds like the sort of thing that you'd like, I want to have this file right there all the time, and I want to have that file right there all the time, right? Consider pinning it to the Tote. Also, desks. Another neat new feature. You might have noticed this earlier when I went to Overview. I've got a Desk 1 and a Desk 2 up here. And actually, that's how I'm switching between the presentation and my web browser stuff so easily between those desks. I'm actually using a 4-finger touch and swiping one way, swiping to the right, and then swiping to the left with the 4-finger touch to move between those desks. So this could be handy for you, right? Even if it's just as simple as what I'm doing here for the presentation and my other windows. So if you wanted to do that, you're going to hit that Overview button or do the 3-finger swipe up to get to Overview, either way. And up here at the top, you can say plus the new desk. You'll see it's just that easy. Now I've got a new desk available, and I could call this whatever I want. It doesn't have to be Desk 1, Desk 2, Desk 3. This could be my presentation desk, for example, or this could be my, I don't know, what makes sense to you, right? Email and attendance desk. This could be my period, my afternoon classes desk versus my, I don't know, right? Whatever works for you. I'm boring. I'm going to put desk 3, but you could name that whatever works for you. And now, again, let me do it this way. I'll show you. We've got 3-finger up to get to overview, but then I can do a 4-finger slide. So I've got desk 1, desk 2, and desk 3, right? And you can use that to organize your space, organize your windows, put certain things in those spots so that you don't just have windows on top of windows on top of windows. Okay, quick note before we get to accessibility features, actually. How do you know if you've got the latest update of Chrome, right? I'm saying, hey, we've got the new updates, version 89. By now, you probably have it, but it's possible you don't, right? Maybe you're on a device that hasn't been turned on for a while or something like that. Also, if you hear of a new update, our district devices don't all update immediately as soon as a new version of Chrome is out, or as soon as these things, they don't all update immediately. Because think about that. If we've got thousands of devices on the network and an update comes out at like 10 a.m. on a Thursday, then guess what? We don't want all of thousands of computers in the district all updating immediately. It's not that big a deal. It doesn't have to happen right now. So it's set so that some do it now and some do it a little later and some do it a little later after that. And it might take a couple of weeks to go through and make sure everything is updated, right? It might take a little bit of time. So if you want to be able to check, if you hear of a new update or something, this isn't something that you have to worry about, or it's not something that you have to do. But if you'd like to know and if you'd like to be able to check, then hit that launcher and search about, and you can get that about ChromeOS. We'll click there. Now you can see we're going to have ChromeOS, what version we're on. So actually now we just had another update. Now we're into version 90. That just happened actually before I recorded this. And there's a check for update button here. So you could, if you want to check at some point, right? Or if your number right now is less than 90, you can hit check for updates and it's going to go through and check. Right now, this one, because it just updated this evening, it's going to say it's up to date. But it might actually start downloading an update, and it might tell you after that that you're going to have to restart the Chromebook in order for you to have the most up-to-date version. So that's fine. This is not something you have to worry about. It will be done automatically. But if you're the person that wants it right now and you want to check, that's how we're going to do it. Okay. Accessibility features. There are some awesome accessibility features built right into ChromeOS that I'd like you to know about. This will be important not only for those staff that could benefit from having these sorts of features, but so many of our students who would be able to more easily use the Chromebook, more easily complete the classwork, more easily understand what's going on or respond to teachers and all this by using some of these simple tools, which they're right there, they're easy to use, and they can be very powerful. So down at the bottom right in that system menu, so if you click down here and you can see on the screen that I've got the example here, we're looking for this button that has the person on it with the arms outstretched. I'll show that to you. Let's bring this down here. If I click down into the system menu here, you'll see that I have the person with the arms out here. It says show accessibility settings. You might not have this as a button. You might not. So if you do not have it, go to the launcher, and now you can type in accessibility. And you'll see we have the little gear settings icon with accessibility next to it. We'll click on that. If you don't have the button, then we've got to change this option. Always show accessibility options in the system menu. We want that to be a yes. We want that turned on. So make sure that that's on. And if it is on, you should be able to come back down to the system menu and find that accessibility option right there. So accessibility. Down here, we've got the word and then the down arrow. We're going to click on that. And here we've got a number of different accessibility features that you can turn on or off on your device, on a student's device, and it could be very helpful. So let's go through a few of them. Chromebox. This is one that you're probably not very likely to use. You can know it's there. It's a screen reader, and this is a tool for someone with very limited vision. They can't see the menu options. They can't see what's on the screen, and they need a full-on screen reader, right? They need everything on the screen read out so they can hear it because they cannot see it. That would be Chromebox. That could be helpful in certain situations, but it's probably going to be more rare. Select to Speak is going to be a text-to-speech tool that is going to allow staff or students to highlight a bit of text and then have that read out loud for them by the computer. So this is probably going to be a much more common and just generally useful tool to know about, is that Select to Speak. You can see I've got the blue check mark here because I have that turned on this device, and you can see down at the bottom right here, I'm hovering over it now. It says Select to Speak. Let's get to a web page. Close this down for now. We'll come back over to our desk. And let's say I want to use Select to Speak. I'll click it. And now I can click and highlight some text. Notice I've got this colored window. I'm going to highlight some text. Now, you're not going to be able to hear this probably very well on your side, but that's actually going to be able to read that text for me. I can pause it here. I can even jump back a sentence. I can jump forward a sentence. I can change the speed that it's reading it at. This can be a very handy tool, especially for a student who's going to struggle to read. They can use Select to Speak, and that is going to read selections for them. Now, what else do we have? Dictation. So this is sort of the other side of that Select to Speak. Notice at the bottom right of mine, I also have this microphone. So I can, let's go to a new file for this. I can use this tool to speak to the computer and have it type that out for me. So here we go. Going to hit the microphone. This is how the dictation tool works. You can see right there, this is how the dictation tool works, was written out for me. For those students who might have difficulty typing in on the keyboard, but can still respond, to an answer or something like that, on these Chromebooks for the virtual classes, for whatever, if they're going to struggle to type and they're going to be able to provide their answer, their thoughts on just by speaking it, and the computer can record it for them, that could be a very handy tool to know about. What else do we have available? Commonly, you might see a Chromebook that seems to look all crazy like this, and the colors are all off. I've fixed a number of these, right? High contrast mode might make it look kind of crazy, but also this just might be more comfortable or more suitable for some people to be able to view the computer. So this is available if a high contrast mode would be helpful, right? It's very easy to turn on and off. You've got magnifiers, a full screen magnifier that's going to make the entire screen bigger. And at that point, you're kind of moving the mouse around to pan around parts of the screen. That might work. I find that kind of difficult to use, but that might be a personal thing. And some people might be able to really get a lot out of that. Personally, if I was going to make the recommendation, I think the docked magnifier is easier to use because you're not like sliding the screen around. I think that gets disorienting. So the docked magnifier is going to have a section of the screen that is magnified, and it always stays in the same spot. So as I move the mouse, there's a bit that is bigger, but a bit that is regular size, right? Again, you can turn these on and off very easily, just right from that accessibility menu. A couple other things that I think you'd like to know about. We have down here under additional settings, you can give yourself a larger mouse cursor. You can highlight the cursor, even the text caret when you're typing, that little blinky vertical line, right? The little text caret there. You can highlight that when you click into a field or something, just to see where is that. Some students lose the mouse cursor very easily or lose some of this other stuff. So some of these highlights can be helpful. If I choose large mouse cursor, notice how much bigger that is now. If I go to highlight mouse cursor, then notice as it moves, I've got this red circle. And also, if you want to see more settings, if you want to get into it a little deeper, click on that settings sprocket. And here we're into that manage accessibility features menu. So here with text to speech, enable select to speak. Yes, and that gives me that select to speak down here. Notice I've got select to speak settings. So I could click into here and I've got some settings on what that looks like, right? How it shows up when it's reading it to me. But I also, if I go to text to speech settings here, I can also choose how fast does it read? What's the pitch of the voice? Is it a higher pitched voice, a lower pitched voice, right? How loud is that speaking voice? So I've got some very handy settings here under text to speech that could really help you fine tune it for certain students to get the most out of it. As you go through down here, you've got the display options, the keyboard input options. Down at the bottom, mouse and touchpad, we could set the show large cursor again here, turn that on. I can actually customize the size. Cursor color, this is a pretty new feature. I could make this a brighter color if that helps. I could make it red, maybe, if that helps for a student to track this. Or, I don't know, they just like the look of that a little better. So all of these options are there to help the students use these Chromebooks, and it's well worth knowing about and knowing how to help them enable these things so that they can maybe speak and have the computer type for them, or highlight some text that's there that they're struggling to read and hear it being read to them. So with that, we've highlighted some of the main accessibility features I wanted you to know about, including the select to speak, the dictation, the magnifiers, the high contrast mode, and a number of others. And we're at the end of our presentation for tonight. So thank you so much for watching this. Hope it was helpful, and hope to see you next time.